All right, Sunda, say hi.
Hello.
Okay. All right, let's get started. If you would please do me a favor and just pull up our O3 running agenda. Let me know when you have that, and I'm going to get in there too.
I gotta open up the
It's called Abuha Top O3 meetings, and I'll reshare it with you too. I know we've been working with Grover, so we're not always like looking in the same place.
I got it open.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna kind of hide this one part, and we're just gonna like go through a couple questions, and then hopefully get into some co-planning. And then I was thinking, since we were looking at the AP class, and they're currently, it seems like they did a cold essay on that one article.
They did, and I was trying to see how long it takes them to write an actual 4-paragraph essay. It was that was pulling teeth. Completing a paragraph was good. Completing a full essay was no bueno.
Okay.
We had a couple that stood, like students, it became a spectrum. Some of them stood out. So I was like, okay, it's kind of like, but it made sense. I feel like when I did one-on-one, like mentoring with students, they were able to finish the full essay and get it with ease. I think it's more like smaller groups or something like that for next time I do an essay. I did divide the work by like day 1, day 2, day 3, and have outlines for each and expectations for each, which helped a lot when students were like just coming randomly into class and jumping into a random point in the essay.
What do you mean coming randomly? Because because of Keystone and
we had Keystone, we had
Mm-hmm.
the ISS and suspensions, and we had a couple that were just out for like health problems.
So what I'm hearing you say is that because you have like clearly delineated criteria for success, like they're able to jump in and know what to do. Now, in terms of, and I should have told you to bring a couple of essays, that would have been good for us to look at together.
I'll be on.
Oh, perfect. We can look at that in a minute.
Yeah.
Do they have access to the AP rubrics? That way they know the
I placed
expectation.
the rubric in
Cool.
the PowerPoint.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, I placed the rubric in the PowerPoint, and I went over the rubric where they're scored out of 6 points, and I explained what it means by sophistication and commentary, and the requirements for a thesis statement. So I've seen the thesis statements have improved a lot because a lot of them I explained you need a because clause. Now, this is just the argumentative essay. They still have to do a synthesis.
Yeah, synthesis.
That word is not happening.
You're fine.
And then they're going now into an argumentative / rhetorical situation, but I'm doing on-demand writing because the test is 40 minutes. So what I'm expecting to do is just like go over to them, like actually reading and zooming in into the question and looking for the key words, because a lot of them are just like writing, but it's not clear enough or focused. So therefore, their thesis statements are not like using the words that they need in the.
So it sounds like their thesis statements aren't focused or concentrated enough on responding to the prompt. Okay. So let's come back and think about maybe the design of the lesson or the outcome, and was the lesson that I observed yesterday able to achieve that? So tell me a little bit about what did you want the outcome of the lesson to be yesterday?
That students are able to read the passage, identify the different rhetorical strategies used, just like labeling them, or like after each paragraph being able to identify or tell me what is a rhetorical strategy that was used in this paragraph, what was another one used in the next paragraph, and then what is basically summarize the main idea of the passage. It's like a first read. And basically go over the question to be able to form a thesis statement at the end of it all.
Okay.
So the expectation is basically to be able to write a thesis statement.
So it sounds like what you wanted yesterday was you wanted the focus to be on the writing and students having enough understanding of the passage to be able to write that essay.
The last essay we gave them, a lot of them had really good an idea of what's going on in the text and all of that, or what's the topic about, but a lot of them didn't know how to structure or be able to clearly say a claim. They were able to talk about an anecdote or a story or something like that for the longest, but they're not basically writing the topic sentence in the beginning or actually adding, if they write a good thesis statement, they'll be able to have the topic sentence for each paragraph because they'll know what are the things they're dividing.
And it seemed like that's where you were trying to go with them. So tell me about that. So you were trying to, when I was in there, you were like having them take notes on thesis statement writing. And that's when I jumped in and I said, hey guys, if you're not writing this down on the back of your article, write it down. Why do you think I did that?
It's just because a lot of them are listening in, but you want them to be a little bit more focused or a little bit more like making sure that they're tracking me or tracking what I'm doing so that it's not just, you know, empty time or we're losing them.
Absolutely. So I want to like build on that a little bit because I think this like leads into the larger idea of making sure that everything you're doing is like backwards planned and aligned of where you want them to go. Because it sounds like you just gave me some really good indications of where the data is at. We can look at that in just a second and then design where you're going to go, you know, because tomorrow you have AP, so we can even like look at what's that going to
Yeah, because the goal is basically to have, I just give them a cold passage and for them to write for 40 minutes. That's the goal because on the test they're giving them they said that the structure is you read the question 5 minutes, you take 10 minutes to read the passage, and then you take the rest of the time to write. While you're reading the passage, you're doing the outline at the same time, and then you basically have the rest of it to just write away. And so I want them to get into a habit of timed writing because a lot of them are like, I still got to do how many paragraphs? I'm like, just write for God's sake. Because a lot of our students are like trying to take the easy way or shortcut. I was like, there's no shortcut in this one. You're writing and you just put it all on paper for now. And I want to get into the idea of like just put it all on paper for now. Then after that, I want to tweak into it a little bit more and to go into the details. We've been working for a really long time on like the rhetorical devices, and but I want to basically make sure that they're nailing the thesis statement so that I could at least have that full point because it's a full point on the AP rubric.
Hearing you say that, it makes me feel like yesterday's lesson. It sounds like where you wanted to go was to get them to know what is the criteria for writing a strong and accurate thesis statement.
Before I throw it in front of them.
But I don't know if that was fully aligned to what I saw. So I want you to read what I wrote down as your next step. You can read it out loud to both of us, and then we can, I want to hear just your reflection. How does that resonate with you?
Wait a minute. It's logging me up.
Oh, you're fine. It's right here if you want to see it on that while you're logging back in.
Alright, cool. Alright, so backwards plan all segments of the lesson.
Start with this one. What does it say? What's the thing you have to do?
Outcome driven and well paced. Yeah, with me the thing is I have this tendency where I pace it, I do the backward plan, and then like when it comes into the class I like throw that out the window when I see that. Just to be honest with you.
You always do have a plan, right?
I always have a plan and I do the whole scripting and the whole 9 yards, but when it comes in the class and I notice that the vibe, they're not feeling it, or I notice that like there are certain things when I was grading that was just not met or hit. I don't want to go into I want to make sure that I like tackle that before I go into the actual lesson. I feel like it's like a pregame to the actual game.
Then what I felt like I saw you doing. Like I felt like you were kind of like trying
based
to
off of the
address
data,
something with them, but like it wasn't planned for. And then if you're doing that, then we might be in a place where students like aren't able to follow along or aren't making progress. So
then I feel like I'm self-sabotaging.
I think that's a good realization. And I think like for my own reflective, like I probably need to come in and just like be like, hey, stop doing that. Tell them what's going. Because what I noticed was the objective said something like students be able to write a body paragraph for their argumentative essay. What you were really trying to teach was like the components of a thesis. So that's why I wrote this down as what we should focus on as our action step and in our planning is ensure your lesson is outcome driven and well paced. How you would do that. Backwards plan all segments of the lesson using the objective. Time your lesson so that each segment is 10 minutes or less. Like what you were telling about the thesis was taking most of the time, whereas it didn't need to take that long. Like we could pre-teach it, have them get right back into it. Step 3, ensure that during direct instruction, there's a clear and aligned student action. That's why I jumped in and I was like, hey kids, you should be taking notes on this. And then 4, hold 100% of your students accountable to making progress. So if I say, all right friends, I'm gonna model what your strong thesis statement should look like. You should be tracking the screen, writing this on your paper, scan, and for the kiddos that aren't following along, do the follow-up or the least invasive correction with them. So with that in mind, and also some of the student data that you're thinking about, I think we should just quickly pull up what you planned for tomorrow and maybe look at a couple of writing samples to make sure that those are the highest priority things. Can you share your plan for tomorrow with me? Thank you.
What's tomorrow's date?
December 14th. Wow, we are like moving right along this year. Usually it is, yeah. I think my girl's in my folder too.
See, Grover's not here next week, so I was planning English 3.
She's out starting tomorrow, huh?
Yeah. I planned English 3 for Monday, in case something happens and she doesn't come through. So I finished that fully today during prep.
Good.
But
Yeah, that's a little bit more than you've been taking off, so I'm interested to see how that goes for you. I was gonna say
I
Steve, but I shouldn't say it on
fully-
camera.
No, I usually fully plan it and then she scratches everything I did and starts to her own slides, which used to irk my soul a little bit because then some of the stuff that she's missing were already in the original slides. But then I was like, maybe she needs it to learn kind of like how to make it her style. So it's like, so much for doing all that work. It happened multiple
That
times.
seems frustrating.
It was frustrating because it was just like, okay, I already had the PowerPoint and the worksheet finished, and then you go and change the colors and change like whatever, and you kind of like that's a waste of time.
Yeah, it is, and it's not like the highest leverage thing. Like
Yeah.
she should be scripting what the model's gonna be or
Because
something.
you
like
came
that,
observed a
rather than
couple times and I was
changing
like,
the
it was already on the first slides and now we don't have it.
Hmm.
Great, you missed your objective and missed the slide of this. So it gets kind of like,
Have you given her feedback on that?
I mean, I just make sure that now, like the last few weeks I'll spend Sunday night looking through her slides and be like, you didn't add this, you didn't add that, you didn't add this. And just to make sure. And there's just times where she's like, I'm not a last minute kind of person, so it's kind of like, she's like, I'll do it.
Planning Sunday night for Monday morning's not ideal.
I'll do it. So it's just like, okay.
Doesn't make you feel prepared.
But
Is there a specific AP lesson number I should open up? Because I have that.
31 student worksheet, but I always style the work. Oh,
Lesson 31 student copy. I see it right here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is there-
Rhetorical analysis essay. Identify the rhetorical strategy the author uses to develop his argument, analyze the significance and impact of the strategies, support analysis of the evidence and explanations, cite evidence. Okay, so like there's essentially 4 different skills they have to do.
Mm-hmm. It's always a lot of skills.
Yeah,
I try to like.
So we probably want to think about which one thing should we model for them so that way they have success with responding. So let's see here.
And then, sorry, I'm just stuck on the second one. Okay. There it is. I think it's 32, to be honest.
Oh, okay, let me get into 32.
Because they did last time.
Interestingly enough, like that worksheet doesn't have like a clear I do, we do, you do for kids to follow along with. So we would probably need to like change the
So, where's my PowerPoint? Hold up.
pace a little. Yeah, share that with me and that might help a little bit.
I did a PowerPoint for it. Okay, here. Yeah, this was the one I was sent to. It's on 14. So,
Awesome.
so they were gonna basically,
I see that, Duna. That's pretty long.
because the essay is already given on the original. There's an essay already typed on the original thing.
There's an exemplar.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're looking at the exemplar and kind of like saying, what's wrong with it? Or how could it improve? What is missing? What did they do right?
So sample SAA. So I see that here.
Yeah.
In lesson 32. So let's go back to your PowerPoint and let's make sure that it's like fully aligned to what the AP for All curriculum wants out of this lesson, but also that you're hitting on what you think is the most important like data need for it. So let's look at this.
I was gonna do like, I was gonna go into like the actual criteria for success.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
And just like
when you have this slide up, what are you gonna expect kids to do with it?
So for this one, they're gonna. I was thinking of going into highlighting basically like things that are need to. I should basically make it one color for glows and what's one color for grows, or should I do a T chart? I was thinking like a T chart, glows and grows, and
determine
then
trends, evaluate how effective. You could. I mean, you could also just print out the essay and have them annotate it for these things.
I did do that. I did print out the essay, so they were working off of the paper yesterday.
Was that the essay was an example? Got it. Okay.
So they had a whole like passage already written, and then they were just basically looking for like how was it structured.
I think that this is like strongly aligned to the AP for All curriculum if you stick to it.
So what I did
go
was
off script with like sharing additional context.
That was my and I'm sure that's my problem because I'm like, I already did that, but like it's like I don't do it at the right time at like the time that I need to do it. I kind of took the.
Well, then maybe we need to practice that.
Yeah.
So go back to your slides for a second.
Like for where's the one I want to share? I didn't share it. But I was gonna basically take out, and I realigned it, and then I was gonna take out the parts for the bulletin board. I was gonna take out these parts right here, and so when they're actually writing this down, when I'm presenting it, and then. But here's the thing: should I put? I'm thinking of just taking all of this out. And then adding the essay on one side, and then the requirements on this side, and then telling them highlight this in yellow, highlight this and whatever, or find this.
So I see that the worksheet does like give them some directive about highlight this, highlight that. Like I don't think that like highlighting is the most effective move. Like that's gonna help them identify the components, but if they're like looking to actually notice things and give feedback, I don't know if that's like the highest leverage move for them.
So I want to give you like honesty about how I wanted to do this. So they had a story yesterday, right? They read the story, they looked for the rhetorical devices, they outlined. I wanted them to just independently write
the
4-paragraph essay.
They do the cold passage.
The cold passage, like fully, like just come in, finish it, write the essay. Then I want them to switch with their partner their essay, and then do this part where they're doing this assignment right here, where they're identifying the thesis, the claim, the evidence, and then the commentary by answering these questions right here.
Let me ask you this: how much time do they have on the AP test?
40 minutes for this essay.
So you could have them like do this identification piece of like what's strong about this essay, what needs to be improved. Leading into the cold passage tomorrow, they could just come in and like do it.
Yeah.
And then give each other partner feedback on Friday.
Yeah.
So that progression seems to make sense to me.
Because that was what's going on in my head. I was like, I want them to just sit silently, but also see, here's what I'm doing. Thursday and Friday, I'm giving everybody the Unit 2 end of unit exam. So I could be able to run after them on next week, and whoever is missing, take it Monday. And
why don't you just give them the test next week?
It took me a really long time to get a lot of our students that are cutting first period or not there at all to end up seeing their face or coming during office hours. And I don't have office hours except for Thursday, so I was going to use my after school or during my prep period to get the other group. So I already did like so much heavy lifting last time I did the test. I don't want it to be like an exhausting thing for me, so I'd rather space it out where I'm, whenever I have a free time, I could grab a student or two, or I could go looking for them in the hallway, because obviously I don't get those, like, it's been a while.
Again though, like, I don't want you to kill yourself over that. Like, the goal is that 95% of them take it.
But
we'll
95% is so
and that first
high.
period, so maybe that's some feedback that I need to give, right?
It's like so high because here's the thing, it's like not my fault that I can't get like
they're not coming in the first period, I know.
The attendance is that bad. So if I have around 18 students, that automatically doesn't put me at 95 meeting the mark. And therefore I could be running around getting like as many as possible, which happened last time, and then I had students that refused to take the test. So it's just blank. So I'm just sitting there like, I mean,
that's not the case for the AP class though, right?
No.
So let's step back. So knowing that tomorrow's lesson like is planned in alignment with AP for all, let's make sure that like you know what you're going to do during every segment of the lesson, and it's all backwards planned from the objective. I think that's the goal.
Yes.
And then I believe that, yes, that should be the strategy for English 1. I think for AP, if you wanted to pause and give them the exam next week, you can do that. So that way you can like have a regular progression. It's an English 1. I meant to say English 3.
Instead of pausing it, just give it.
I would do this lesson, I would do the cold passage, and then I would do peer feedback.
I just like told them, so I told them about like the test being like whatever I could say, I'm gonna postpone it, but
they don't have to study for it. Like it's gonna happen regardless. It's aligned to what they've been learning. All right, let's bring it back to the PowerPoint.
All right, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so for this, show them the essay that was written and have them basically critique it. As part of their, do the do now here, what is the thesis of the lesson, identify what is the thesis. But here's the thing.
Are you on lesson 32?
Yeah.
Okay, do now, student read the sample essay from, underline the thesis, highlight the evidence, highlight the commentary. The evidence is, this is good.
Yeah, it's like they're scoring it, so they're like basically
what I would
getting
do,
a grasp of the
I would get rid of 7 and 8 because it's redundant and just get them up to 6. So what do you think the students should spend their time doing? Like that's already responding to the feedback.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
table reads.
They just read that. Now we're going over like the notes part. So I was basically.
So here's what it seems to be missing to me is like some kind of new material of explaining how they evaluate an essay.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's why I wanted to do this part. This is the new material of how it's evaluated. So I was kind of thinking of like basically just taking this part out, and they're taking notes here while I'm kind of.
But is it reading your essay out loud or the sample essay out loud?
The sample essay out loud, and then after we do the sample essay for the do now, they basically critiqued it, scored it. They'll go into basically these are ways of like expectations of how what should happen. I should probably say this is whole class.
Like this to me, like if I'm a kid, like this is a little confusing as to how I'm supposed to follow along with it.
Yeah, because I usually just take this out and then merge it. Merge these two. I usually have to play with the setup of the AP.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I myself was like, kids won't get this.
All right, go back to your worksheet. I mean, to your PowerPoint. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, let's stamp this. So
that
you're gonna take a couple pieces out of the do now.
And we said take out 7 and 8.
Go to slide 3.
I might need a timer here. Go to slide 3.
That's you're gonna change that. Go to slide 4.
We're gonna skip. Actually, just go here to
Monday.
Begins on Monday. Then.
Okay, so, but they haven't written the essay, have they?
Yeah.
Have they or have they not?
No.
So if they shouldn't be able to revise, like, students will be able to identify components of a completed essay, right?
Yeah.
On the AP exam.
Identify components. So I identify what is a successful.
I would say like key components or identify an exemplar. I don't know. Identify components of key components of an AP essay.
Components of an argumentative AP essay.
and they're doing this with their partner, right? So by collaboratively.
Ooh.
Got it.
Collaborate. Come on, my friend.
You got it.
By collaboratively working with a peer. Identify the key components of an argumentative AP essay by collaboratively
Working with a peer, like using the table read method, because like that's gonna prompt them through the steps, right?
Yeah. Okay, I like that we went through it.